The HOA trespassed on my ranch. I wasn't even in their club. Now they're paying the price. It was a crisp autumn morning when I heard the sirens. 3 police cars screeched to a halt at the gate of my 15-acre ranch, kicking up dust like a scene from a bad western. I was tossing feed to my chickens, minding my own business, when a woman in a wrinkled blazer stormed up, clutching a binder like it was the Constitution. "Arrest him," she shrieked into her phone, live streaming the whole fiasco. "He's violating HOA rules and endangering our community." Behind her, a guy with a shaky camcorder filmed like we were starring in a low-budget crime drama. The kicker? I wasn't even in their HOA. Not now, not ever. That was the moment I knew I wasn't dealing with a nosy neighbor. I was facing a power-hungry bully who'd regret crossing me. My name's Henry Whitaker, a 52-year-old mapmaker who traded a cramped city apartment for my grandfather's ranch in rural Virginia. 8 months ago, I inherited this slice of heaven-rolling hills, a cozy log cabin, and memories of summer days learning land surveying from Grandpa Joe. I set up a small coop with 12 Rhode Island Reds, and life felt perfect for the first time in years. Then came the trouble. 2 years back, a cookie-cutter subdivision called Green Valley Estates sprouted 250 yards from my property line. Identical houses, manicured lawns, the works. I didn't think much of it. Live and let live, right? Wrong. The drama started when Karen Phelps, president of the Green Valley HOA, knocked on my door with a plastic-wrapped binder, pages highlighted in neon yellow. Her hair was dyed a brassy blonde. Her 2014 Toyota Corolla had a dented fender, and her smile was faker than a politician's promise. "Henry, your rustic setup is dragging down our property values," she said, flipping through her binder like a prosecutor. She rattled off rules about livestock, noise, and property upkeep. I let her talk for 5 minutes before cutting in. "Karen, I'm not in your HOA," I said, polite but firm. Her smile vanished, and her eyes narrowed. "Maybe you should be," she snapped, like it was an order. That was the first red flag. A week later, I spotted orange flags near my property line, like someone was staking a claim. My neighbor, Susan Carter, a retired county clerk in her late 30s, dropped by with a warning. "Karen's trouble," she said, sipping coffee on my porch. "She's filed complaints against 3 neighbors in the past year. Petty stuff, like fence height or unmowed grass. She's got too much time and a need to control everything." Susan had seen it all at the county office, so I took her seriously. I figured Karen would back off, but I was dead wrong. 3 days later, 2 cop cars roared down my private road. The younger officer, Officer Daniels, looked uneasy, notepad in hand. "We got a complaint about livestock violations, noise pollution, and zoning issues," he said. His partner, Officer Grant, seemed like he'd handled too many nuisance calls to care. I almost laughed. "My chickens? A threat? This is agricultural land," I explained. "I'm legal." Officer Grant nodded, ready to leave, but Karen swooped in like a reality TV star, binder open, reading rules in a robotic voice. She pointed at my coop, live streaming on her phone, narrating health violations, while my friendliest hen, Daisy, pecked the ground nearby. "Officers, this man's farm is ruining our community," she declared. I couldn't hold back. "I'm not in your HOA," I said, louder than intended. Karen's face turned beet red, but she kept filming, milking the drama for her audience. The cops left, telling Karen they couldn't enforce HOA rules on my land. But she didn't stop. More flags appeared, some inside my property line. I caught her parked across the road in her Corolla, snapping photos with a telephoto lens. Susan warned me Karen was obsessive, but this was next level. I decided to fight back the way I knew best: research. As a mapmaker, I live for boundaries and documentation. If Karen wanted a war, she'd get one. I dug into Karen's history online. She'd been harassing neighbors for 2 years, driving 3 families out of Green Valley with petty complaints: grass too tall, mailboxes too close to the curb. Susan brought more dirt. The HOA was $60,000 in the red, and Karen earned $35,000 a year as president. She needed to seem indispensable, so she created problems to solve. I checked my zoning docs. Me land was agricultural since 1947, and 12 chickens were well within county limits. But Karen wasn't playing by facts. She patrolled my property daily, measuring my coop's distance from the fence, using a sound meter app to claim my hens' clucks were noise pollution. She posted photos on neighborhood Facebook groups, calling me a problematic neighbor, endangering community values. The breaking point came when I caught her on my land, measuring my coop. "You're trespassing," I said, firm but calm. "This easement affects us all," she shot back, waving her tape measure. Easement? She had no rights here. I headed to the county planning office, but the clerk, Tom Reynolds, was cagey. "We're backed up," he said, avoiding eye contact. When I pressed, he slipped up. "We've got instructions to be careful with requests tied to community development projects. The HOA's working with the county on expansion." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just Karen, it was a coordinated effort. I overheard two employees whispering as I left. "That's the ranch guy causing problems for Green Valley's expansion. Orders are to bury his requests in paperwork." Then things got ugly. For chickens vanished, my coop door left open. Tire tracks led toward Green Valley, and my trail camera caught a shadowy figure at 5:47 a.m. Susan dropped a bombshell. A developer, Horizon Realty Group, was offering community grants to HOAs that could manage nearby properties. They'd been pressuring rural landowners to sell cheap for suburban sprawl. It clicked: Karen wasn't just a control freak. She was a pawn in a bigger scheme to force me out. I was shaken. My bank called, saying the HOA filed a claim that my ranch violated zoning, flagging my account for potential credit issues. Online, Karen's edited videos painted me as an unhinged rancher terrorizing the neighborhood. My reputation tanked, and even my old colleague Mike suggested I sell and move back to the city. I started browsing real estate sites, wondering if 12 chickens were worth this fight. But then I found a letter from Grandpa Joe, tucked in his old papers. "This land is our family's heart. Your great-grandfather fought speculators in the Depression. I fought developers in the 80s. Don't let them win just because they're loud and mean." His words lit a fire in me. I wasn't running. I was fighting. The next morning, my trail camera caught Karen and a man in a suit logo reading Horizon Realty Group, surveying my land at 6:15 a.m. I researched Horizon. They had a rap sheet: buying rural plots cheap by making owners' lives hell, often with HOA muscle. Then I made a game-changing discovery. Using my mapping software, I overlaid my 1987 survey with current maps. The HOA's playground, clubhouse, and parking lot, all on my land. Susan was floored. "Henry, they've been trespassing for 15 years, she said. The HOA had built $200,000 worth of facilities on property they didn't own. If I pressed my rights, their expansion was toast, and Karen's $35,000 gig was gone." I hacked into Karen's unsecured Wi-Fi. Don't judge, hey, a mapmaker knows tech. Her emails with Horizon promised to clear the obstacle, me, for a $75,000 HOA donation and her job security. I hired a surveyor, who confirmed the encroachment. I sent a trespass notice to the HOA, demanding $150,000 for 15 years of unauthorized use or removal of their structures. I mailed copies to every Green Valley homeowner, explaining the scam. Karen called an emergency HOA meeting. I waited, then walked in with my surveyor's report, legal docs, and a poster screaming, "You owe me $150,000. The room went silent. I projected aerial maps, pointing out their playground, clubhouse, and parking lot, all mine. Homeowners glared at Karen as she screamed about fake documents. I played her recorded admission of trespassing and showed her emails with Horizon. The crowd erupted. "We've paid dues for facilities on his land," one yelled. They voted 23-2 to oust Karen. She stormed out, vowing revenge. The story went viral. Local news ran headlines like "Mapmaker crushes corrupt HOA." A YouTube channel, Neighborhood Nightmares, got 15 million views with my interview. The new HOA president, Linda Hayes, a retired teacher, offered a fair lease deal. I'd get monthly rent, and they'd keep their facilities legally. I agreed, impressed by her honesty. But Karen wasn't done. She bribed a retired clerk, George Mason, with $8,000 to claim my 1987 deed was fishy. She filed a lawsuit, alleging I'd fraudulently inherited the ranch, and got a temporary restraining order locking me out of parts of my land. At the hearing, Karen showed up in pajamas, clutching a teddy bear, ranting about sonic chicken weapons and property terrorism. The judge looked baffled. I presented Grandpa Joe's hand-drawn 1987 survey, signed by living witnesses, plus photos of the transfer ceremony. I proved George had retired years before my inheritance couldn't have seen my deed. Karen's lies collapsed. Outside the courthouse, I planted a sign. Property line measured. Not HOA. News cameras ate it up, and it became a viral meme. The judge charged Karen with perjury, bribery, and false reports. City Councilman Roger Tate, tied to Horizon, resigned amid a corruption probe. Horizon faced a federal RICO investigation. I won $275,000 in damages, covering my stress and legal fees. Today, I'm on my porch, watching 47 chickens roam my expanded ranch. Linda drops by with cookies, and our lease deal hums along. Karen? She's slinging retail in Ohio, living with her mom, facing criminal charges. A restraining order keeps her 500 yards away. My YouTube channel, Land Defender, helps others fight HOA bullies. Daisy's the mascot, and our Don't Peck With My Land shirts are a hit. Justice was served. The system worked, and karma hit hard. I stood my ground, honored Grandpa Joe, and showed bullies what happens when you mess with someone who knows where the lines are drawn. What do you think? Have you faced HOA tyranny or injustice in your life? Share your stories in the comments, especially your thoughts on standing up to bullies or navigating unfair systems. Take a stand, and let's hear your perspective.